single one of you part of this team in any way, shape, or form is part of that goal. There are 5 girls who were specifically recognized because they are the 5 diamonds, and that is Lauren Schultz, Meg Sloop, Shelby Maupin, Caitlin Miller, and Morgan Techmeyer. They did some crazy, crazy hard work over the last 6 weeks and even longer than that. But you guys, it's a whole team goal. It does not happen with just 5 people. It happens with all of us. So we are so excited about that. And I want you to stay on the lookout because there are some fun things coming up and some announcements. These 5 girls and myself, we will be going on a reward trip basically for that. But there is a way that my other personally sponsored coaches can earn that trip. It's going to take a lot of work in a qualification period, the same as they had, but it's still possible. So stay on the lookout for that. Today, I want to talk about conversations. I want to keep these summer calls short and sweet. I want to talk for small amounts of time, and I want you guys to be able to ask me lots of questions. So I'm just going to hop in. Well, if I can find my okay, so I feel like conversations are the most important piece to your success as a coach. And I think it took me a really long time to come to terms with what is the most important thing I do as a coach to see success and hit Success Club every single month. I think we can get really distracted by the shiny things, especially social media, and you feel like your social media is what's keeping you from hitting Success Club. When I would say if you are not hitting Success Club consistently, you're probably not inviting enough or your conversations are not good. So, when you get the flow of inviting consistently and then having conversations that are actually good consistently, that's when you're going to start hitting Success Club consistently. So, for the purpose of conversations and inviting, I want you to think of your social media as your biggest tool to interest people so that you can invite and you can impact them. So, craft your posts thinking, how can I invite from this post? Craft your polls thinking, how can I invite from this poll? Craft your stories thinking, how can I invite from this story? That way you know you have a plan. You're not just posting like willy-nilly and thinking like maybe I can invite from this, but you know exactly the kind of invite you want to create based off of what you're saying in your posts and your stories and based off of what you're offering in your next group. It all goes together, every single bit of it. So here's what happens a lot of time. People will sit down and they will invite to a group. Maybe they'll use some of those invites that I have created, and you'll insert your stuff. And then you get really freaked out because you're like, okay, I've sent out 50 invites today. Now what? Especially because you're going to get ignored. I feel like this is one of the most common questions that I get from new coaches is people say no or people ignore me. What do I do now? And you guys, the simplest answer I have for that is the quicker you can get over it, the better. Because I am 3 years into this business and I can't even count the number of invites I've sent out. And the vast majority of people have ignored me. And I don't give one care. I don't care if people ignore me because guess what? They are either going to stop watching and they're not my person and they're not interested in what I'm doing at all, which is a-okay with me, or they're going to keep watching and I'll keep inviting even if they ignore me. And eventually they're going to be in my circle of impact in my challenge group. So your job is to invite and your job is to forget the emotions that you have attached to the invites you're sending out. It is okay if people ignore you. I promise you. And the faster you can realize that's just part of it and you can move on and you can stop getting your feelings hurt by it, the better. It is normal. And I'm going to guess that I'm not even gonna guess, I'm gonna say every single successful coach gets ignored on the daily. If you are not getting ignored, you're probably not sending enough invites. So just understand it's normal and it's okay. And it means nothing other than the person you're inviting probably doesn't want in right now. And she probably feels awkward and doesn't know how to respond. And that's okay. That does not mean anything is wrong with what you're doing. It does not mean you have a bad invite. It means it's part of it and you have to accept it. Okay. Then the next text I get a lot from people, especially new coaches, is, oh my gosh, somebody's actually interested. Like, I've sent out 50 invites and I do have somebody who's interested, but what do I do now? And you guys, that's like the most exciting place to be in. But also, I know it can be really scary whenever you're having those first initial conversations with people that you want to sign up to be in your challenge group. So, the first thing I want to say is, number one, stop freaking out. You are not on stage with 10 seconds to answer your pageant question. That is not how this works. You can have some wait time, number one, to think about what you want to say. And number two, you can always consult with your mentor coach at this point to make sure that you're saying the right things. Like, I love when people send me screenshots of conversations, and you should just get used to doing this. But trust yourself. Okay. I think it's really super important that you begin to trust yourself and realize that you have better answers than you think, especially if you're new. Okay. You've been coaching for 3 weeks. You've been doing the programs for 3 weeks. I would rather hear how you are going to describe what somebody's about to jump into than me, because you have fresh eyes. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who says, now what? Like, what? Like, that does sound interesting to me. I'm interested in that 21-day program that you're about to start over. You describe it in a way that would make you want to jump into it. Don't use fancy lingo. Don't search up like a Google's answer for what is 21-day fix. Tell them in your own words what you're about to start. Trust yourself to be able to have a conversation with somebody that you can just go back and forth on. You don't have to give them all the information at once. Have a back and forth conversation where you give a little information and they ask some questions and you give them a little bit more information. Like, it doesn't have to be this perfected, like professional looking conversation that looks perfect. Like, it can be just a real raw conversation with a human on the other side. That's what they want, you guys. So you're about to have a conversation with somebody when they say, I'm interested, or tell me more, or I want more details. And I want you to know it should take a while. When somebody says, I'm interested, you're not sending them a paragraph of everything they're about to get. You're not sending them a paragraph about being in your challenge group. You are not telling them the price yet. You're going to have a conversation where you go back and forth, and it should take some time. You're not going to walk into the doctor and get a prescription 2 seconds after you walk in the door. That's not how it works, because they don't know what you need. And it's the same exact way whenever somebody says, I want details about your group. Guess what? You might be starting 21-day fix next week, and that's not what the girl who messaged you actually needs to do. It is okay to take time to figure out what are her pain points. Actually, it's more than okay. You need to figure out what are her pain points, and you need to figure out, is what you're offering in this specific group with this specific program exactly what she needs, or does she need something a little bit different than what you're offering to everybody else right now? You have the freedom to do that. For example, let's just say I have somebody that comes to me next week and they say, hey, I see what you're talking about this 3-week program, but like I can't do that right now. I just maybe had a baby, for example, but I really want to get started with something. So with that person, I'm not going to force that person to sign up and do the 21-day fix with the rest of my girls. I'm going to look at her as a single person, ask her 1 million questions about her journey and where she's at. And then probably what I can do is offer her a challenge pack with a nutrition bundle instead, because she's not going to be able to work out yet. Or if somebody's injured or something like that, or somebody's brand new and they need something a little bit slower paced, or maybe somebody talks to you and they are extremely like fitness oriented. For example, I had one of my best friends from high school come to me. I've invited her for 3 years. First of all, you guys, she was on my first list that I ever made when my mentor said, who would you love to do this with? She made my list. But she's been a gym junkie for her entire life, it feels like. And she's like this buff girl who knows everything about health and fitness, somebody that knows way more than I do. And she came to me 2 weeks ago because she's working from home and she needs something she can do at home. So she started on 80-Day Obsession. That's what I recommended to her because she wanted something different than what I was offering. But I wouldn't know that if I didn't get into a real conversation with her and figure out why she needs this, why she's coming to me, and what she's actually looking for. You've got to have a conversation with people because in the end, your job is to help them, number one. And number two, if you don't know what they're looking for, if you don't know what they've struggled with, there is absolutely no way you're going to convince them that what you have is going to help them because you don't know what the heck is going to help them if they've not shared with you what they need help with. So slow down and have a conversation with people. Okay, keep it simple. Seriously. Nobody ever wants to have a conversation with you where you're copying and pasting stuff that's Beachbody lingo. You need to sound like you. People don't understand our language. So stop using things like Beachbody On Demand, 21-Day Fix, Challenge Group, Accountability Group, etc. If there is a term or a name of something you did not know before you became a Beachbody coach, you cannot use those words in your posts or your stories unless you're explaining them frequently, and you cannot use them in private conversations with people because they don't understand. If you say, hey, do you want to join my challenge group? They're like, what the heck is a challenge group? Unless you are spending very, very intentional time on your social media explaining what your challenge group is. Use normal people lingo, okay? So this is kind of my flow, and sometimes it goes in other orders. Just know that. So the first thing you want to do is you invite somebody. There's a whole document in Fit for More that has like sample invites that you can use. So I'm not going to read these to you because you can read. I send an invite out. Most of the time, like I said earlier, I'm going to get ignored, or somebody sends a thumbs up, or they say, thanks for thinking of me, but no, like that happens all the time. And I promise you, it's not going to kill you to hear no. The second thing that happens is if they're interested, they're going to ask for more information. But I'm pleading with you, begging with you, please do not overload them. The best way to give somebody more information is to keep it simple and have an ongoing conversation. They will probably say no if you send them a long paragraph saying everything about your challenge group, saying everything about challenge packs and what they include plus the price. They will say no because that's overwhelming as crap to hear everything at once. It just is. What's not overwhelming though is if you ask questions and your answers or their answers to your questions allow you to give them a little information along the way. So for example, instead of giving them all of the information in this one big old long paragraph that sounds salesy and awful and intimidating, when this person says, or when I ask this person, what are your health goals? And she says, I'd like to lose 10 pounds. And when I say what's worked for you and what's not worked for you in the past, and when she tells me that time has been her biggest struggle, at that moment, I can respond back with a little piece of what I would have said in that big old long paragraph and say, oh my goodness, time was one of my things too when I was a really busy teacher. And my favorite thing about this is I can do the workouts from home. And right now I'm doing them 20 minutes a day. Like I'm going to give her a little piece of what I offer in response to the answers she's giving me for questions. When I ask her about workouts versus nutrition and she tells me that nutrition is her bigger struggle, at that moment I can say, you know what I love is that this nutrition plan is simple. It's something that I felt like I could implement immediately. It came with a booklet, it came with these little containers, and it's not something that I have to restrict myself on every single day. Like I am having a conversation back and forth, and I'm not giving her all those pieces of what I'm offering in one message. That way she knows, oh my goodness, I've been struggling with nutrition for so long, and what she's saying sounds really simple and doable. Like through this conversation, she's convincing herself too that this is going to help her because I am taking the time to take it slow and explain every single thing. if I sent out a big long paragraph that said you're going to get 1,200 workouts, you're going to get a meal plan, you're going to get blah, 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 it's 160, you're going to be with me a year, all of these things, she's going to feel overwhelmed. And she's not even going to be thinking about all the reasons she reached out to you in the first place. Women reach out to you because they're in a place of pain, usually. They don't know how to do this on their own. They've tried it on their own. Maybe they just tried on their swimsuit for the first time this summer and they feel like absolute crap when they look in the mirror. That's when they're reaching out to you. And something in them, when they respond to you and say, I'm interested, they're thinking of a pain point at that moment. And if you go into your long paragraphs and overwhelm them with information, you are completely taking them away from how they're feeling, and you're making them feel like you're just trying to make a sale. Get to know her and ask her what she's struggling with, to remind her the reason she's interested in the first place, and encourage her that you have all of these tools that can really seriously help her make changes in her own health and fitness and feel better than ever.
Paige,
so, yes.
Before you go on, can you check the waiting room?
Oh, yes.
I'm getting messages from some people.
Yep. I hate the waiting room.
I know. I think we'll just turn it off for next time, but you know.
Stop share. Hold on. Sorry, guys. You're in now. Let me go back here. Okay, so for those of you who are stuck in the waiting room, I'm sorry. I hate that silly waiting room, but we're talking about conversations and how to have a really good, normal conversation with somebody that doesn't come off as super salesy. So, what we have to offer is the entire solution. And if you don't believe that, you really need to start there. And the way you believe that is you lead with your own journey. I don't know about all of you, but the ones I can see right now on my side of the screen, I know that these programs, I know that these nutrition plans have changed your life because I've watched it. Morgan's one of the people I can see right now. She's lost 40, she's been close to 50 pounds, losing 50 pounds with these programs. And that's not by accident, you guys. What we offer is really, really good. It's not some diet tea. It's not some wrap. We are offering a fitness plan that can be done from home, which is the most convenient thing on earth. We are offering nutrition plans that are solid. I don't see anything out there as solid as what we offer, because it's not anything that's like, it's not fake processed crappy food. You're eating real food, but you're learning what's fueling your body. And then we add the community on that. We have the total solution. We have it. And I fully believe that we have a solution to every possible objection somebody gives you. And you have to start being comfortable with being bold in what we offer. Somebody says, I don't have time. Tell them how they can make time with what we offer. That's what Beachbody is all about. The simple solution you can do from home that every single person on earth has time for and can make time for. They have an objection with money. Well, guess what? Number one, it's an amazing offer, and the way you present this offer is going to impact what they say. Never apologize for the price. Never say, I know this is a big investment. No, it's a tiny investment for what you get out of it. If you knew that you could wake up and feel your best every single day, that is worth, I can't put a price on that. When you tell somebody they're going to feel amazing and have a healthy, sustainable lifestyle forever from the day they start, money is no object, and you have to believe that, okay? The second thing you can say to somebody who has a money objection is, hey, have you ever thought about making money with this opportunity? You can do your health journey and you can build an income where you can actually build a full business to full-time income if that's something you desire. If somebody has a money objection, you better be offering coaching. It is silly not to. And then the third very common objection I get is, I just don't have motivation. I just can't do it. Holy cow. We have a whole community of women that encourage and inspire and motivate every single day. This is what you need if you're struggling with motivation. I don't know about you guys, but when I struggle or when I scroll through Instagram or Facebook and I see all of you, and then I see my girls in my challenge group, that's motivation enough for this 29-week pregnant woman to get up and do her workout, because I'm inspired by all of you. That's what we get to offer, and it's so cool. Remember, people will always say no. Always, always, always. Every single month, you're going to get no's, but you cannot let that impact the amount of work you're willing to do or how you're willing to show up. If you believe in what you're offering, and I'm pretty sure all of us do, your belief in what we offer is going to cause you to show up. You will get more no's in a month than yeses every single month, forever and ever and ever, because you're sending out a ton of invites. I promise you, you will survive when somebody says no. You do not have to be sad about it. You do not have to be upset about it. You do not have to take it as a signal that you suck as a coach or you have zero worth as a coach. People say no, and probably the more success you see, the more no's you're going to hear. The more invites you send out, the more no's you're going to hear. But also, the more invites you send, the more yeses you're going to receive. And the longer you're in this business, the more yeses you're going to receive. But you will always hear no, and it's okay. People aren't ready yet, and that's okay. Keep showing up, so when they are ready, you're the person they come to. When somebody says no, it depends. If they like come out and say absolutely no, or they ignore me, I don't track that stuff. The only people I track are people who say, I want more information, and then they say something like, I can't right now. I will write that person down and I will follow up within the next month. I do not track people who ghost me or just flat out say no. Other coaches here are different, but that's the way I do it. You need to know you are not desperate, and there are women who need you right this second. If you let those no's impact you enough that you stop showing up, you will never, ever, ever, ever find your yeses. Get comfortable with no. Know that no has no bearing on what you're doing. It has no bearing on your belief, because you believe in it so much that you refuse to stop showing up. Okay, I figure there will be lots of questions about conversations, and I want to answer. Oops, I have somebody who's in the waiting room. I think I have some questions over here. Okay, somebody says, how do you savage a convo? I think it's probably a typo. What did you mean?
Sorry, that's English. It's not my first language. How do you save a convo? So I did a lot of the things you said not to do. So send a lot of information, and people that seemed to be interested, they kind of got cold. But I don't want to just say, well, bless and release, because I messed up.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. And I imagine there are a lot of people on this call who have that same question. Here's what I would say. Forget that you messed up. You didn't mess up, because you did your job. You invited them. You were answering questions. You did what you knew was best at that moment. My best advice to you is now go and follow up using what you know right now. Like, you've talked to them this month. If your group starts on Monday, for example, go follow up with them today and say, hey, I wanted to check in one more time. We start Monday. If they still say no for this month, put those people on a list to follow up with next month, and then you can have a brand new conversation where you can feel confident about what you're offering, and that conversation that goes back and forth. Or you can even go back to those conversations and be like, hey, I was thinking back to our conversation. I know you know our group starts in a week. Can you tell me, is something holding you back from starting with us? And then from there, you can go into that conversation. What other questions do you guys have about conversations? I truly believe when you can master the art of conversation, you're going to hit Success Club consistently. It's like, it's huge. Maggie says, favorite ways to invite or start conversations. If it is Okay, I have kind of two answers to this because I'm just going to stick with invites. There are connections and there are invites, but when I'm going in specifically to invite for a group, I never do it randomly. They are people who are engaging with my stuff. So it is usually, I start with people who like posts, who have something to do with health and fitness, vote on polls, or watch my stories consistently. Those are the people I'm inviting and starting conversations with about my upcoming groups. I do want to mention polls because a lot of people will start with polls and they're terrible polls that people aren't going to vote on. So you don't want to do a pointed poll like, do you want to join my group on Monday? Number one, they don't know what that means. Number two, that's a scary poll for people to to answer. So instead of something like that, do a more generic poll, like what do you struggle with more, nutrition or fitness? And you're going to get 1 million votes on that poll. And guess what? You can invite from that. If they say they struggle with workouts, you can invite and say, hey, I saw your vote on the poll that you struggle with workouts. I'm actually starting a 21-day workout group on Monday. Is that something you'd be interested in trying out with me? And the same thing with nutrition. If they say nutrition is harder for them, you can craft an invite from that. Let's see here. Katie, I know some people are only interested in at-home workouts and not so much the products. How do we encourage them to try the products? Allie says, I only offer the challenge pack. Yep, same exact thing. Whenever somebody asks for more information, you just tell them that's what comes. You say, this is how you get into my group. And from my experience, and I think most coaches here would agree, I wouldn't have seen success had I just bought the workouts. I needed the total package, and most people are the same way. If they're just getting the workouts, they're not going to have any help in nutrition. And if somebody's really, really hesitant to try the products, that's always what I say. For me, a girl who was chasing skinny, I was a runner. I didn't know what to do with food. And the moment I bought this package and I started to learn how to use portion control containers, 3 weeks later, my entire life was changed because for the first time ever, I had some sort of idea of how to eat well and fuel my body. And I think every single person needs that. Helena, what's the difference between initiate connections and invite people? I'm actually going to throw that. Nope, she's not sitting there. I was going to throw it to Shelby. Here's the difference, Helena. Connections are your first touches with people. And invites are, I don't usually invite people. I especially don't cold invite people who are new to my page or who aren't liking things. I think that's super weird. I think it's super uncomfortable, and you're almost always going to get a no. So I would say a connection is when you're doing those activities to find new people to bring into your page. So like you may go to an author you love on Instagram and you might start liking some of her followers' pictures, or you might be watching stories of people and you're just connecting on real life things. Your connections are to build trust and to build relationships with people. And your invites, that's like an income producing activity where you're specifically inviting somebody to be in your group and specifically inviting them to have your mentorship as a challenger. Does that make sense? And both are equally as important. I think you have to do connections with somebody most of the time before you can ever invite them. It's like the difference between seeing somebody at a store, like across the room, and like running up to them and saying, hey, do you want to go grab coffee with me? They're going to say no, because that's weird. Like you literally just laid eyes on each other. Or like you meet a friend at church and you talk a few times, like when we're shaking hands, and then, a couple weeks later you invite her to coffee. She's probably going to say yes because she's like comfortable with you and knows that you're not some freak like that's going to murder her, that sort of thing. What other questions?
Okay, I'm thinking about a specific person that I've gone back and forth with about the money for a while. And we connected and she reached out to me and was like, I know she wants to do it. Like, I know she wants to. And she's still just holding back. And I keep telling her, and I even went over the coaching opportunity and everything, and she's still like very hesitant. So I'm trying to figure out a way to talk to her about the money and being like, is there something like you can cut out? Like, I want you to go through this week and think about like maybe your, I don't know, like grocery list or whatever. Are there things that you can cut out and then put that money back and put it aside so that you can do this? Would that be a good way to talk about it? Because I just feel like I'm getting nowhere, but I've like literally like thrown out so many things. And I feel like there might be something else, but she's just not like coming out with it.
30-day money back guarantee. That's what I would say. She literally has nothing to lose. So sign up, be all in for 30 days. And if you hate it, you're going to get your money back. And you can't even be upset when somebody does that. I mean, it sucks. It does. But it's like, hey, if they're not using it and if they don't see value in it, then whatever. So that's what I would tell her. There's literally nothing to lose when you know you can get all of your money back. I actually remember my first year going to Summit. If you don't know what that is, it's canceled this year because of the coronavirus, but it's literally the best place on earth, and you need to be ready to go next summer with us. It's our Beachbody conference where we get to work out with trainers, we get training, all of that. My first year before I went, I remember like thinking, I'm going to go to this conference and I'm either going to like want to quit Beachbody because all of these people are phony, or I'm going to fall in love with it. And I fell more in love with it. And part of it was our CEO, Carl Deichler. And he did this whole like section about the 30-day money back guarantee. And I remember thinking like, this guy truly believes in what we offer, because he said we have I want two outcomes for every single person who ever signs up. Either they sign up with you and their lives are changed. They lose the weight they wanted to lose. They start feeling their best. They create an actual healthy lifestyle. Or number two, you give them their money back. He's like, I don't want to take anybody's money who doesn't enjoy or see the value in what we're doing. So literally two options. They get results, their lives are changed, or you give them their money back. And I was so impressed by that, because it just shows that we believe in what we offer, and Beachbody as a whole believes in it so much. You could literally sign up a new customer and they could drink their entire bag of Shakeology, call Beachbody, say they hated it and they want all their money back, and they'll give them all of their money back. It's insane. There are so many other companies out there would not do that, especially if you've had the entire bag of product that's worth $120. Like, Beachbody believes in what we offer, and you and I have to believe in what we offer that much too.
So you said that people that kind of ghost you, you don't come back to them ever? Or if they keep watching your stories and if they keep like just in the background, it's like, well, if you keep watching me, then I'm gonna have to keep talking to you, right?
Yep. I can go to conversations, and I've literally invited somebody 10 times over a year without a response. And sometimes if I'm feeling really sassy, I'll be like, hey, you watch me every day, but you always ignore me. What's up with that? And then that a lot of times will get a response. But
so the only people you just really don't come back to are who?
Nobody. Unless they're mean, which that doesn't happen. If somebody tells me like flat out no, I actually really appreciate that, and I won't come back to them for at least a month if they just
at least a month. Okay.
Yeah. And then next month, like if she told me flat out no on May 13th, and then I come and I look at my stories from yesterday and she was watching, where I poured my heart out about why this is important to me, I'm going to reach out to her and I'm going to say, hey, I know last month you said that this wasn't great timing for you, or you said you weren't ready, but I've noticed you kept watching. Would you be interested in starting with me this month? Like, do you have some goals that is now a better time? Something like that. And if she flat out says no again, and I go back, what I do is when I come back to our conversations, I kind of scroll up to get a feel of where we were, because I would never remember. And if she's been really short with me and she's said no a lot, then I might give her a little extra time. But you have to know if they say no, but they're watching, they're a little bit interested. Like they have to be. So just always keep that belief. If they are there, if they're engaging and they're watching, something about you and your page interests them. So don't have fear in reaching out. The very worst she can say is no again. And the very, very worst she can do is unfollow you. And if that's the case, then she's not your person anyway.
Okay.
Do you ever have where people, because I feel like a lot of people watch my stuff, but they do it because they like me as a person and they just like love me and they want to support me, but they're not like really, I don't know, they're not interested necessarily in this. Like I keep having that conversation and they're like, oh, I'm already kind of doing my thing. And then I'll just like keep going through the conversation with them and then trying to see if I can tack on like a meal plan for them or something else. And so do you ever have that where people just like love you, but don't really want to do that?
I mean, I would say yes, probably. But the first thing I think of when you say that is those people need to be coaches. Like if they just enjoy what you're doing, they enjoy social media, you enjoy each other as people, those are people I'd want to work with. And especially if they tell you they already have their own thing going on. I always think of, this 5-star trip. This has been in my mind forever. And when I started growing my team of people and wanting to invite to the business, it's like, okay, who do I want to take on this trip? Who do I want to be in Florida with for 4 days straight? And when I look at the 5 girls who have earned that, like that's exactly who I wanted to attract to this business. They all came for different reasons. They all stayed for different reasons. I'm sure they all have success for different reasons, but I wanted to work with them. And now I get to. So if it's somebody like that, maybe invite her to a Coach Try-On.
I have a question. So I know a lot of times, like the conversations that I have with people usually end up with people saying like, oh yeah, I'm doing my own thing, my own programs, or I'm working with working at the gym with, a instructor or whatever. What kind of questions? I guess I struggle with like the questions I ask them to kind of help them see how this can fit into their lifestyle as well. Do you have any advice of like what kind of questions we could have to lead them into that conversation?
So let me clarify. There's somebody who already has something going for them at the gym?
Yeah, like they're already doing their own fitness routine. They already have their own nutrition. But sometimes you're like, well, what do you mostly struggle with? Do you struggle with time? Do you struggle with nutrition? I guess I'm just looking for questions we can ask them to help them see how this can work for them as well,
Yeah.
or instead of.
So my first thought is there are some people who don't need what we offer. So that person does not need you as a coach. That person does not need your group for motivation. However, the questions I would ask a person like that would be like, have you seen what I do to make an income with fitness? Would making an income with fitness interest you? If you could do this fitness routine you have from home and make some money, would that be something that interested you? Or if you could fit this into your lifestyle at the gym and make an income, would that interest you? Because that person doesn't need the kind of mentorship that you have to offer as a coach. But there are a lot of people out there who are in the fitness world who could make a killer income doing what we do. So those are the questions I would ask that person, but also realize it's okay if they just say like, it's not really my thing. I already have what's working for me. And then hopefully they keep watching and would change their mind, but not everybody needs exactly what we have to offer. I hope that's helpful.
And if I can just add something to that, because I think it's awesome, but something that helped me become an active coach was really the sense of helping others. So whenever somebody that's very fit, I would say, well, who in your life, could benefit from your guide and from your help, from your inspiration, because you inspire me, right? So who in your life could use your inspiration, but maybe doesn't know what to do at the gym, doesn't know, and they just feel lost. but your experience is actually so great because you figure it out. Who can you help in your life? And then, so then you're turning it into that huge portion that to me has been connecting with people and helping them better their lives. So that that was just a thought I had.
I love that, Helena. I actually want to hear, Maggie, I'll get to your question in a second, but Shelby, I do want to hear from you because you were like, she was going to college. She has a degree in exercise science, and this was probably never on her radar. And then Tiffany, I also want to hear from you, like how your conversation went with that coach you're talking about. So Shelby, can you go?
Yeah, so honestly, like, I just was so, like, I guess attracted to like the community, and also just how much Paige like infused her faith into her fitness, because I just missed like the community I have from a team in general, because I was not playing organized sports for the first time in 20 years or whatever. And then I also just like, my nutrition was crap. Like, I knew all the things, I was just not doing them, and I was not being held accountable for them anymore. Like, I didn't have a team to like check in with, or a coach to check in with, or whatever, like when I went back in the fall and stuff. So like, I just really needed to get out of that rut. But like, also I think the other biggest part was, like I said, like her faith being infused into it. And not every Beachbody coach is like that. Yes, like our community, we see a lot of those people, because like we kind of attract like who we like. We attract other people that like that kind of thing and like those common things. So like, find things that are also like that you would have in common with her that could be infused into your journey, whether that is like a debt-free journey, or whether that's like your faith, or whatever it may be. But also like, don't take away the fact of plenty of things that we have to offer. Like, I know there are some coaches that really focus a lot more on the nutrition side of things and hardly like do the workouts, or they like push other things more than maybe the workouts or nutrition or whatever. So find like your thing too, or something that could be hers, if that makes sense. Like, if she already has a killer workout routine, all right, get her hooked on Shaco and like 2B or Ultimate Portion Fix or whatever.
Tiffany, can you tell us about that coach you were talking about?
Yes. So I actually just went on Instagram to our very first conversation, and it happened like a year and a half ago. And it was just her watching my stories. And I mean, it's kind of rough to look at, but she was already working out, already had a gym routine. She had sent me her results of like what she had done on her own. And it went from being like very close to my body type to abs, like super intense. And then just scrolling through for the last like year and a half, her and I have just talked about her gym routine, and I've invited her like 5 times, and like all 5 times she had ignored all of those messages, but then would comment about something else on my stories. So then we just have that connection piece in the middle of me inviting her over and over and her not replying. But she joined recently because of COVID, and her gym opened back up about a week ago, and she messaged me and was like, you know, my gym opened up and I'm not even going to go. Like, I love the programs that we're doing, and I see the value in these programs, and they are fun, and there is that variety. And she's actually doing like a hybrid program with us of Lift 4 and Bar Blend, and she used to only do like strictly lifting, and it would be kind of random workouts that she found on the internet that she would follow while she was at the gym. And so she has always consistently posted about going to the gym even before she became a coach. And now she's not even intentionally working the business. And she just accidentally became Emerald. No, I'm doing what I'm doing. So I was like, okay. But I mean, she's seeing success just through working out and just posting a sweaty selfie to her stories like every single day. So it's just kind of crazy that she's proving how easy, what we do can be.
I love that. And I think that's a testament to our programs. And when somebody loves and sees the value in them, how it is much easier. Like it starts with our transformation and our change and our love for what we get to do. The last thing I want to say about that is if you ever have anybody who you think would be great at it or who shows interest, the best thing you can do is invite them to the Coach Try On. Like it's so easy to invite to that. It's always the third week of the month on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So there will be more information coming out about that pretty soon. Maggie, I wanted to quickly touch on your question. What do you say to people who say they would never touch an MLM? It kind of depends on their attitude when asking that question. It's better that they say MLM than pyramid scheme. I just feel like people who call it a pyramid scheme are a little bit more negative about it. But I actually tell them I related with them because I remember, and I'd probably send a voice message, to be honest. I don't want to type all of that out. I'd probably send them a voice message and say that's funny because that's the same exact thing I said to my mentor. Like I asked her if I was getting into a pyramid scheme, but when I did my research, I realized those were illegal. And now 3 years into this business, like my impact I have because of how it's set up allows my reach to be so much greater. And that's something that's something you can show on your page too. Like when we do this, when we have our big sweaty Saturday at 10, every single Saturday when I hop on, I look at all of the faces and I'm like, this wouldn't be possible if I was a trainer in a gym. This wouldn't be possible if our business wasn't set up the way it is. My income wouldn't be possible if our business wasn't set up the way it is. People just have such negative thoughts and ideas about MLMs because of the people who don't understand, who are really loud about them. So I'd be honest and share if you've ever had that thought, and share why this business means so much to you and how it being an MLM is not a negative thing. But you're never going to convince somebody who's like super passionately against them, and that's okay.
I was gonna say I was in an MLM before. I was in Mary Kay, and so one of the things that I always say whenever anyone says that is, for one, you don't have to have product, which is a huge thing for so many other companies. Like you have to have product to be able to sell that product, or have people like buying directly from you, like and coming to your house or whatever. And then you also have like, I don't know, I just felt like there was so much pressure. I would always have to have like 50 faces to do like a facial on this week. And like, I had so many things. And like this business, you can do it however you want. Like, and that's what's so great. Like if you want to jump in full blast, go for it. If you're like, I don't have enough time right now, that's like all about you, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, I'll say as someone who used to sell Rodan and Fields, it's like 100% different because what you're selling is a lifestyle and not a product, which like all the other ones are just a product. And like I would be doing Beachbody, and I'm pretty sure every single one of us would be doing Beachbody even if we didn't work for Beachbody. And I can tell you I don't use Rodan and Fields anymore because I don't sell it.
That's some really good perspective. I can think back to meeting with my corporate mentor, Mary, and I thought it was funny. She basically was like, do you know why Beachbody is an MLM? It's because the income plan is like really good with MLMs. We chose it to be like this so we could compensate our coaches well. That's basically what she said. And 3 years in, you guys, I'm a living testament to how Beachbody compensates very well if you're willing to show up consistently and build your business consistently. And a lot of you have seen the fruits of that as well because it's an MLM. It doesn't have to be a scary thing, but people make it into a scary thing based off of their sister's friend's husband's bad experience. Okay, we are coming up real close to an hour. Thank you for all of your questions. Thank you for being here on a Saturday morning. I feel like it's going to end up working out better. Every single week, bring your questions and we will hopefully have great conversations like this. So thank you for being here. Hope to see you all at 10 for our big sweaty workout.